there, sports fans. Welcome to the 10 Yards Back podcast with me, Jim. This is this week's 6 again for round 2 of the 2025 Betfred Super League. And what a round it was. We had everything. We had 40 tries. We had 28 conversions. A couple of penalties sprinkled in there for good luck. Still, only 2 home field advantage victories in this round, with Warrington and Lee beating Huddersfield and Catalans, irrespectively, whatever the word for that is. So the away sides are still killing it. Lots to talk about this week. There could have been 12 again this week, but that's not the rule, is it? So you have to stay current with the phraseology. For example, we had Paul Vaughan's inappropriate shorts on Friday night. We had the Happy Mondays shaking Salford to defeat on Saturday, and on Thursday we had Tom Jonstone basically holding off the entire Hull KR defensive line to remain in field. Now those are some talking points, but these are my major 6 again for round 2. Let's go for it. So, in at number 1, a bit of a sad topic, really, but it's one that needs discussing because it's one that I feel pretty passionate about. So we're in round 2, and already you're starting to see some teams picking up quite a laundry list of injuries. Alright, we've had 2 rounds with the Challenge Cup and round 1. But if you look at Hull FC particularly, now Hull FC were plagued with injuries last year, as were many teams. But last year, Hull FC were in the position where they were having to play squad numbers in the 50s, I believe, last year, because there were so many injuries. Now, bear in mind, we're at round 2 now. Or round 3, we're coming up. Now, unavailable for Hull FC last weekend were, I knew about a couple of these. I knew about Amir Borough, Jack Ashworth. That was an HIA, and Jack Ashworth was ill. All right, there's not really much you can do about that. But Zach Hardacre, former Man of Steel and many-time grand finalist Zach Hardacre, Jed Cartwright, Oliver Holmes, excellent strategic player, Davy Litton, Jack Charles, Matty Laidlaw, Roman Dawson, all off with some kind of leg injury. During the match on Friday, against Wigan, they also lost Liggy Sal, that massive, almost talisman figure, coming off the bench, doing work. They lost him during the game to a knee injury, and it looked like his knee just exploded. Like, there was no real pressure on it, other than, his massive frame. No defenders around him, really. The defenders immediately let go of him and told the referee there was something wrong. Everybody knew. He just went down like a sack of spuds, and it's not really good, So that's if I read through that list again. So we got Zach Hardacre, groin; Jed Cartwright, hamstring; Oliver Holmes, knee; David Litton, MCL, knee; Jack Charles, ankle; Matty Laidlaw, MCL; Roman Dawson, ACL. All knee or ankle and upper leg injuries. Liggy Sal's now got a knee injury. My question to you, and I'm fully prepared to hear that, I'm a conspiracy theorist, you hate stuff, whatever. My question to you is it something to do with the grass? That's my question. Is it something to do with the pitch? Because Hull FC play on the same ground as, I think the football team's called Hull FC as well. So it's a football pitch, right? I remember a couple of years ago when Widnes Vikings were in the Super League, it was almost like a known thing that if you go into Widnes, one of your players is going to pick up an injury because they had that artificial stuff, the 3G. Now, St Helens, the totally wicked stadium for half of the year, is actually the St Helens Stadium, because that's where the Liverpool women's football team play, and they've done an absolute number on their pitch. Now, when that happened last year around April time, just after Easter, I believe, St Helens also started to pick up these knee, ankle, groin injuries. So, look, I don't know what my point is here. Injuries is the talking point for me because it's round 2, and I can't believe we can talk about injuries that aren't just HIAs. But is it something to do with the grass? Let's put a pin in that. You can tell me I'm wrong, whatever, please do. I welcome it. All right. Number 2, something that I wanted to talk about this week, obviously, you're here listening to me ramble on about it, is offloads. Now, offloads, or as my mum calls them, handoffs, which makes conversations about them really, really difficult. Offloads have always been an absolute key to an attacking, an attack, a successful attack, a violent, piercing attack. You've had, typically it's the forwards, the Chris Hills, the Iggy Parseys, excellent at sort of gathering defenders around them, offloading the ball, the acting half-back, runs around the back, exploits that hole. But this week, 2 teams in particular must have offloaded 60% of their passes. Catalans Dragons on Friday, I'd love to see a statistic. If you have one, please send it over. Must have offloaded upwards of 70% of their balls, meaning there was 70% of tackle attempts by Warrington were offloaded. I have no idea how the defence managed to hold it up, but they did, and they got the W in the end. St Helens equally offloaded a hell of a lot, like way more than ever before, or than I've ever seen them before. So they're passing the ball around. They're really, really and it makes a really exciting rugby because, probably the most famous try in Super League history, the wide to west try, is, it's full of offloads and passes and this here and there and everywhere and kicks. And that's what we're trying to bring back, and I really like it. The other side of this, though, the flip side to it, as the kids say, is that these 2 teams, Catalans and Saints, that were, throwing the ball around for fun, just the ball, almost I needed a passport at one point. It was that side of the field, that side of the field. They looked very dangerous on halfway, but not so much so near the line. Now, I'm also willing to concede that point because you can point to the proof of, well, if we look at who scored the tries, the Mathieu Laguerre tries were absolute smashers for Catalans. We had Alex Walmsley scoring tries for Saints, which, Cas should be ashamed of themselves for. That's proof to the contrary of what I just said, but go back and watch those games, right? At halfway, 40 metres, those teams looked absolutely dangerous. But then when they get really close, as in, they can't necessarily throw the ball around so much because the defence are right on top of them at this point, they looked less effective. So that's my point number 2 this week is offloads. I love to see them, but our team's focusing a little bit too much on offloads and not that much on that ruck play, that close ball play that you need on the right on the try line. Okay. Number 3, again, this week. Again, I mentioned it last week, is Captain's Challenge. I said I'm a fan of Captain's Challenge, but I was not a fan of Captain's Challenge last week because it basically seemed like a reason to make 26 lads stand in the cold for about an accumulated 35 minutes. This week, we had 2 successful Captain's Challenges. The first of the Super League era, or again, first ever Captain's Challenge successful by Ash Hanley of Leeds, standing captain or co-captain of Leeds, 45 minutes into the game, just after half-time. It was a ball steal, very clear ball steal. The ref just missed it. And then Lee had another one, I think it was about 45 minutes again into their game, so just after half-time again. And let me tell you this. When I saw those Captain's Challenges be successful, I had no stake in those games. I don't really care. But I was so rooting for a successful Captain's Challenge because the commentators were being absolute arseholes about it, because a captain's challenge is a fair thing for a team to do. We've said now, or not we, I'm not on the governing board, we've said, listen, players, you're allowed to do this. You've got 2 attempts, or one each, and if it's successful, you get it back, which I think is a bit weird. You got 2 attempts here. You can call the referee on anything you want. Any infringement you want to replay, you can do that. That's allowed. We're giving you the freedom to do that. You can choose when it is, and we'll check anything to the best of our knowledge. But it almost became like a competition between the refs and the players, where the refs were, the commentators were like, well, yeah, another successful one. We haven't had a successful one yet, have we? Oh, it just shows that the refs are doing well. And the refs do well. Of course they do. They have to. They're professional referees. The players are also professional players who sometimes feel outdone by, and sometimes are actually the closest thing to the infringement that we've now said you can call the refs on. So, I guess my plea there is either take it away, don't let them do it, or stop making them feel shit for getting unsuccessful ones. Like, none of them, I think, were flagrant. Like, none of them were just wasted in the opening 8 games, up to the point of the Leeds one, the 9th game of the season. I think everyone used them, where you should, really. So stop slagging them off for using them, basically, is my thing. So that's something that's kind of taken off the commentators' desks now. Not so much, but we'll see how that goes. Oh, number 4. Number 4 this week. This is a big talking point for me. Wigan lose their 0. And what I mean by this is, in round 2 of the 2025 Betfred Super Leauge, 41 minutes into the game, Hull FC versus Wigan, there was one Hull FC try that wasn't converted. Lewis Martin goes in at the wing. Now, this was the first try that Wigan had conceded since the 6th of September 2024. Something like 197 days here since Joe Burgess went over against Hull KR. That's about 450 minutes of rugby, about 7.5 hours of rugby. And the reason this is important to me is because, again, the commentators now have to shut up about it. I mean, it's an amazing achievement that Wigan did there. I mean, not conceding any tries in all that time is awesome. There's so many nils and 2 points and stuff like that. It's, that's an incredible achievement. But thank God, I mean, Dave Woods has bought a clock in his house where he's just got counting up from the last Wigan try. Thank God they can stop talking about that now, and teams can just breathe a breath of fresh air. Wigan can breathe a breath of fresh air. I bet they're fucking terrified of letting one in. They let it in. And to be fair to Wigan, which I don't like to do, that try only took 2 defenders falling asleep to let a Hull FC debutant for the year, I believe, make a downfield, make an absolute screaming run, only to be tackled amazingly by Jayfield, and then a mystery penalty props up from nowhere. The Wigan defence are knackered, and he slips in. So it was not necessarily a try that ever really happens again. It was very circumstantial. To be fair to Wigan, and to be fair to Hull FC, they actually did it. So there you go. Wigan lose their W. We can't talk about that ever again. Okay? Cool. Thanks. All right, number 5 this week here. Oh, Captain's Challenge again. Have you made a mistake there, Jim? No, I never do. Captain's Challenge again. And this will be something that I bring up again and again and again. I can't bring up the fact that it's been unsuccessful ever again, because it has now. I'm not going to bring up the fact that about the referees versus the players. But what I will bring up is gamesmanship, because I'm not really a big fan of gamesmanship, right? And what I mean by this is, at about 78 minutes into the Warrington Catalans game, Catalans are really building up a head of steam. Really, really, pushing. It looks like it's going to go to Golden Point for me, which I was really pleased about. If your team's in a Golden Point, you hate it. If someone else's team's in a Golden Point, it's great. So, Catalans are really building up this head of steam. They're going. Massive defensive effort. Warrington knock on, very blatant knock on, is how I remember it. I haven't watched it back, of course. But why would I? Because otherwise I might not be able to make this point. Warrington knock on, Catalan scrum. Catalans literally run to the scrum because the game's ending. They've got this one chance and they've got all this momentum and they've got a scrum. Maybe they've got a nice set play from the scrum that they're going to do. They're going to surprise this Warrington defence. They're going to smash through. Warrington take the piss, is what they do. They pull a captain's challenge, which they're entitled to do. I just said then, they're entitled to do. You can't have it both ways, Jim. You can't have that anyone can pull a captain's challenge any time, but you can also slag them off for doing so. Then you'd be a commentator or a referee. So Warrington pull this flagrant, I'm going to call it now, captain's challenge on a very obvious, to my memory, knock on, which basically means that play, that whatever Catalans were going to do from that scrum, Warrington have now got 2.5, 3 minutes to recover, reset, and read the play. And that's exactly what happens. So Catalans go from this head of steam, barging down the field, about to take on the world, to a team that is forced to just stand there while the captain's challenge goes up. And all right, they're entitled to do it, but should they do it? You know, as a non-Warrington fan, not that I'm not a fan of Warrington, but I'm just not a Warrington fan. They've done this kind of thing before. In fact, my conspiracy theory, if I put my tinfoil hat on here, is that the green card was specifically designed to get around Warrington's gamesmanship. Warrington, particularly Wigan a little bit as well, of players being injured on their own try line. It was amazing. No Warrington players in the 2019 season went down with ankle injuries outside of their own 20. It was amazing. Anyway, the captain's challenge, bit of gamesmanship. Look out for it. And let me know what you think about gamesmanship as well, because it's perfectly legal to do. It's just, I think, a little bit shitty to do. All right. Number 6. So, off the back of Warrington doing something shit, I'm going to finish now my 6 again with Warrington doing something actually, in my opinion, pretty incredible that a lot of you will roll your eyes at, and that is the Luke Littler Stadium. So for those of you who don't know, Luke Littler's a Warrington lad. I think he was born in Runcorn but grew up in Warrington. They're the same place, basically. You know, they're 20 minutes away. But if you can probably cycle in 20 minutes. Luke Littler, he's this young darts prodigy. So he looks about 42, but he's actually 17. He's grown up his whole life playing darts. This Christmas won, I believe it was the World Darts Championship. Amazing. Me and my wife watched it. Absolutely awesome. Great darts player. Real good match. So to honour this, Warrington's favourite son was the term that kept getting used. And if he was born in Runcorn, is he Warrington's favourite son? I don't know. But maybe he wasn't born in Runcorn. Maybe I made that up. Honouring him by changing the name of the stadium. Now, not only did they say, hey, for tonight it's the Luke Littler Stadium, but they actually painted the sign. They changed the sign. They crossed Halliwell Jones out. I bet he was gutted. And invited Luke Littler down. A couple of things I love about this. One, the fact that they changed the sign. Two, the fact that Luke Littler showed up in a hoodie and jeans when he knew that he was going to be on TV in the middle of the pitch. You know, he showed up like he was going, you know, just out with his mates on the street. He then went and sat in his own season ticket seat. So they didn't have any, like, throne for him to sit in or something. I thought, you know, if I walked to a stadium, it's got my name on it. I'm sitting in the best seat in the house. This guy was just sat, you know, row like J161 or whatever it is. I don't know if that's a good seat or not. The best moment of the evening. Bear in mind, this kid is 17, so he's not media trained. He's just a lad who throws darts, who loves it, and he's very good at it. So, Jenna Brooks, the sideline reporter, is taking him around the field at half time. He goes, "Oh, Luke, so how does it feel to be here with your name on the stadium that you love, with 5,000 of your faces looking back?" Because they printed masks out as well and gave them that to people. And he says something along the lines of, yes, I love this stadium and Old Trafford, they're my favourite places, or something to that effect. He brought Manchester United into the throw there. And Jenna Brooks, for some reason, you'd think Jenna Brooks is a professional reporter. She does rugby league, she does cricket, all kinds of stuff. Very good as well. I really like her. Not that matters. And she poses the question that we all knew was possible to pose, but also all knew that we shouldn't pose. And that is, okay, Luke, if you like Old Trafford so much, who would you rather win? The Premiership, the Super League? Would you rather Warrington win the Super League, or would you rather Man United win the Premiership? Now, the obvious answer to that, when you're stood in the Luke Littler Stadium, home of the Warrington Wolves, with 5,000 Luke Littlers looking at you, the obvious answer is, Warrington every day. Yeah, I'd love Warrington to win the Super League. That'd be the best thing in my life would be that, because I love this club so much. But he didn't. He gave the honest answer, which was, God, I'm not sure about that. Which would I like to win? And went on, and he came round in the end. I think he probably looked out there and realised, shit, yeah, I've got to say Warrington now because I'm here in my hoodie, my best hoodie, watching 5,000 Luke Littlers slowly drop the masks and get disappointed. But anyway, in the end, it was he made the right choice in the end. He picked Warrington. But the point I bring up the Luke Littler Stadium is nothing to do with Luke, really. He's just a young lad who's absolutely smashing it in life, albeit he looks 50. The reason I bring up the Luke Littler Stadium is purely for the fact that Warrington did that. That's my favourite thing about this whole thing. It's not his hoodie, it's not his faux pas, it's not the sign. It's the fact that Warrington do this kind of thing. Now, I already said I'm not a big fan, or I'm not a big fan. I'm not a fan of Warrington Wolves. I don't have the shirt. I don't go to their games. But they are by far the biggest and best chance that Super League has of breaking out and going national, in my opinion, because of things like the Luke Littler Stadium, because of things like, years ago they had the wire flyer at half time. It was amazing. I used to love watching that. Whenever the Warrington were on TV, the wire flyer, it was just a guy in a green morph suit. It would just had some pace. If anyone knows who that was, please let me know, because me and my brother have got an argument about it. The Wizzy Rascal. The Wizzy Rascal was on primetime TV. It was just this kid in an electric car who used to deliver the match ball dressed like the Stig. Amazing stuff. Wolfie is a bloody national hero. Their mascot. They do these things, and it's great. The marketing machine behind Warrington, their attitude towards it is the attitude of a modern sport for a modern fan base. And I think that a lot of teams actually push back against that. They actually, reject anything that is cool and exciting, to the point of not letting their players become superstars. That's my opinion. So Warrington, yep, they shit the bed in the captain's challenge, but Luke Littler Stadium, all right in my books. Okay, that was my 6 again for round 2 of 2025 Betfred Super League. It was a good round. It was kind of a settler, wasn't it? Wigan back on top, St Helens back on top, even though the commentators kept reminding you that last week was an anomaly. Warrington up there. So the table now, or the table for the week, is starting to look a little bit familiar, which is good and bad. It's good because it means that we can start to get into our rhythm of we know who's coming, we know who to look out for, and also it gives you opportunity of superstars, breakouts from individual teams. It's worrying though, because the Hull FC coach is in recruitment right now because of his injury problem, which is obviously point number 1. I won't belabor it. But let's keep a lookout on it. Top try scorers. At this point of the season, there's not really any point in going over this, but it's no surprise. Full of Saints players, full of Wigan players. There's a couple more there who aren't on the list. Toby King, Joe Batchelor, Jordan Lane. So, Hull FC as well there as well. So, alright guys, that was my 6 again for round 2. What's yours? Let me know, please. Probably in the comments at the bottom. Also got 10 yards back on Twitter now. On X as well. So I don't know if we've got any followers. So if you want to follow us, please do. Alright guys, thank you very much.